Hey, it's Ashley and I'm back with another haircut tutorial. Today I'm going to be showing you something a little bit different. It is a brand new tool from Wahl Pro, and trust me, you've never seen a clipper like this before. This is the Vapor LE. I'm going to show you exactly how it performs on a full cut, and spoiler alert, this thing flies through the hair. So beginning with my number one, I'm going in and I am fading around the ear and kind of going right below the temple so I can keep a little bit more weight in the parietal ridge whenever we get there. So I don't want to take off too much weight with this number one guard. So I'm just going to go in and fade around, leaving a little bit of a dip in the back of the head, making sure that I am leaving some room to come in and fade. So I love the blade on these clippers. As you can see, cutting through this hair is such an easy thing to do with these. The F32 Fadeout blade is phenomenal. I find that it gets super close whenever you are tapering, and it opens up really wide so that you can get as close to your guard to fade out into the next one. So I'm just going to go in and I'm kind of using my number one and opening it a little bit to go down to the beard, and then I'm going to open it and go into that haircut. So now I'm using the one slightly opened, and I'm just gonna go back all the way around with these clippers. So as you can see, these clippers are gorgeous and they are super lightweight, coming in at only 275 grams. I've really never had anything lighter or with such a nice grip to it. I love the time. I can cut for 180 minutes with these clippers before having to charge them. And when you're going and doing 15 haircuts a day, charging your clippers in between haircuts can become a hassle. So I find that these clippers are lasting me so many haircuts, and I really appreciate Wahl for putting in that work with these. So using that 1.5, I'm just going to work my line a little bit higher in my fade, going closer to the parietal ridge, but kind of still staying under it so we can leave a little bit heavier of a weight line when we're fading. So opening up these clippers, you can just see that these clippers aren't leaving teeth marks like sometimes clippers do, and I know you know what I'm talking about. Sometimes there's just little notches and you really have to go back over it, but I'm finding with these clippers, the blade having 50% more teeth for smoother blending is a game changer. You can just tell in this haircut right here. I'm just walking my 1.5 guard around and going to slowly kind of raise my fade as I go. So coming over with my 1.5 guard closed, and then as I get to this point, I'm going to open it and then continue with my 1.5 opened around the haircut. So I really like how Wahl has come out with new clippers, and they always are innovating and making sure that it is user friendly. So these only take 60 minutes to charge. So as I get to my 1.5 guard open, I am going to start to kind of really scoop out and start going at a slight angle where I am leaving the edge of the clippers kind of tilted to one side of the head and then lifting it off of the other. This is going to let me really smoothly blend into my number 2 guard. So going in with that number 2 guard, and this is where I'm going to kind of scoop out on the parietal ridge to take off that weight line so I'm not fighting myself when I come back in to blend. And you're just going to walk that around, making sure you're scooping. And I still do have a slight dip in the back of the head that I am taking into account for, and I have kept the shape of it throughout the entire fade. So you just go in and scoop, and I'm going to work that clipper all the way to the other side of the head, and making sure that everything is even and seamless when I am fading with that number 2 guard. So in my haircuts, I really don't fade above a number 2.5. Sometimes I will use a number 3, but I really like to have a nice tight fade to then blend in with my shear over comb and then shears on top. So using the Vapor LE from Wahl, I am just going in with that number 2 guard open, so a 2.5, and fading out. And I did use that 1.5 guard to really make it so seamless. As you can see, I'm going to go in and blend with the clipper closed just to kind of tighten up the beard area and make sure everything is blended. I appreciate being able to make an ad for Wahl with their brand new fade out clippers. I have been a Wahl user for my entire career of barbering, which is a total of 9 years this July. So I am super excited to be a part of the Wahl team. Using my Wahl T-blades, I am going in and just lining up my client, making sure that everything is nice and crispy. You can see how beautiful his fade came out with my clippers. And I'm just going in, cleaning up that neckline, and I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Wahl has spent over a century refining tools that barbers trust and rely on, a legacy that speaks to dedication, craftsmanship, and the highest standard in the industry. We're proud to make it with Wahl. After I line everything up, I'm going to go around the ear and clean up the sides of the hairline. So whenever you are doing a lineup, I like to make sure that we are using the client's naturalist hairline. So you can see that I am not going into his hairline, I am just enhancing his hairline. So I am just tightening up any hairs that are kind of out of place or don't belong. And you can see I'm just grabbing it and using the edge of my trimmers. So after I've done that, I'm going to section out a space to meet my 2.5 guard, which is where I finished off this haircut with my Vapor LEs, and then I'm going in with my shear over comb and just grabbing where that 2.5 guard ended and picking it up, giving it a slight 45-degree angle, and then just making sure that everything is nice and blended from there. When using shear over comb, you want to make sure that you are not digging into the client's hair. So what that means is you're not like dipping your comb deep into his hair or his scalp. You are kind of giving it a slight angle because you want your longer spots to be at the top. So you don't want to cut into it. So as you can see, I'm pulling out the hair and I am meeting it to where I've just previously blended with my shear over comb. So I'm just going in and I'm pulling out at about a 45-degree angle and making sure that everything is nice and blended before I cut the top. So when we're cutting the top, I'm really just dusting off my client's top. So going in and point cutting and kind of just giving a nice straight line before I begin the point cutting. So I gave myself a guide, and then if your client is struggling with any hair loss in the front or just lightly thinning, you want to kind of section out those bangs before you pull up and cut the sides. So I am pulling up and then I'm just kind of point cutting a little bit, making sure that we get everything down to the same length that we gave our mohawk guide. So this is going to give a little bit of a texture and making sure that when he styles his hair, he has some volume, some play, and it's not all just one length sitting on top. So I am making sure that everything is seamlessly blending into my sides, and I am going to double check, making sure that they are meeting together. I really love how my 2.5 is just seamless into this haircut, and it wasn't even a struggle to blend. I was amazed using these clippers all week. I can't even tell you. So make sure you check out the new clippers from Wahl and follow and subscribe for more. I appreciate you guys so much. I really hope you enjoyed this haircut tutorial. Don't forget, like and follow Wahl Pro on their Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube channel. Thanks so much for helping me create this ad for you. I really appreciate it, and I hope you enjoyed. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you.